Okay, so my name's Lewis Robinson. I work for a company called TAWI, which is part of the PIAB division. We're a big manual handling company who help in the logistics area as well as other spaces. My focus is completely logistics. So a lot of this that you see today, I'm hoping, will be things that you see on a day-to-day basis. I'm hoping the things that I show you are headaches that you are all trying to overcome. The video you can see in the background here will show a typical day-to-day environment. Container unloading, which is generally done with telescopic booms, flexible conveyors. Of course, Boston robots are looking at ways and means of unloading containers. But ultimately, the headache is there for everyone in 3PL or logistics to unload containers safely and securely. We then look at outside of these type of environments, and we look at the mobile solutions. Logistics is a very unique industry where there is you need the mobility. You can't have things that are fixed in the ground. You need to be able to move different sites, different contracts. As an example here, we can see our mobile parcel lift. So this is inside of the container environment. On the outside, we can look to implement systems that help take off from conveyors, load onto pallets, whether it be tall or short. And we then have our mobile order picker, which moves around the warehouse on a lollop, a forklift, and allows people to ultimately pick up products on the move. I'll touch on more in detail as we kind of work through this presentation. But the three areas that we focus on, which I would hope a lot of companies are looking to solve, is productivity. So our products are not designed to slow you down in any way, shape or form. There are areas where our products will reduce manual handling from 2 people down to 1. With that, you can push your body elsewhere, whether it be onto pick or a different part of the business. So we can look at increasing productivity gains there. When we look at health and safety, that's an obvious one. If you are not looking to eliminate the risk of manual handling inside of your warehouses, then for me, that's a bit of a concern. And our equipment removes 100% of the lifting load. The most interesting one for me, as I've been working around and going to a lot of these big sites, is the workforce flexibility side. So this now has actually become number one. Retaining staff and being able to employ any member of staff to do the job that currently people refuse to do. So a lot of people don't like container tipping, a lot of people don't like picking up boxes. Our equipment will allow any operator, male, female, strong, small, whatever it may be, or whoever they may be, to lift that product. I always joke that Sharon from accounts can now come down and ultimately unload a container because she's not doing any of the lift. You now don't need to hire a temp member of staff that needs to be physically strong and physically able, because our equipment will help with 100% of the lifting process. As we move on, very, very easy picture here. So for me, this is what you guys see in logistics on a day-to-day process. Trailers, containers, outside of trailers, containers, modular systems, mobile systems. You'd be surprised with actually how much manual handling is taking place in certain places without really zoning in on certain areas. For me, we'll always start on a project, whether it be containers, whether it be mobile order picking of large 80 kilogram tables where they're looking to do it in a safer way. They're looking to reduce the head count and just have one person do this. We'll always focus on one with the aspect to then join dots inside of the warehouse facility and branch out. This video here is a very good case study. So PostNord have worked with us for many, many years now. I think it's 15 years. And you'll see some great examples during this video of ways in which we can lift products. So this engineer has been working with them for 15 years. You can see large boxes here being picked up. We have different tools for different attachment, different products. For me in logistics, we make the solution for the products that you guys are lifting without confusing with too many tools. So on this, on the front of a telescopic boom, here's just one area that we solved on operators that had to pick products up. We then move outside with gantry track systems, picking products up and walking around the warehouse floor. If we have low height rooms, as you can see, we have a patented solution where our hose actually travels and can still pick and reach those awkward products. Touching on kind of weights and things like that, in the outside space, so outside of containers and trailers with fixed solutions, we can go up to 270 kilograms. When we are looking at mobile solutions, such as a mobile parcel lift for inside containers, which we'll see on the next slide, we're then limited to the 45 kg kind of route. Mobile column and jib, we can go to 100 kilograms. So there are solutions that I have out there on the field that help inside of the container, they help outside of the container. Once those products have been packed and stored onto pallets and moved into racking, we then provide the mobile order picker that allows the operators to go to the aisle and pick up the product and drop it onto their pallet and do their mobile order picks. The first area of container unloading and the kind of module aspect of a product is the next one that you will see here. So within TAWI, we're looking at the way in which products lifted, the headaches that you guys have, and let's not beat around the bush. Container unloading is probably the #1 headache for people. We have telescopic booms that are manufactured by FMH Conveyors, Sovex, Callian, whoever it may be. And this mobile parcel lift was developed heavily with Amazon. We provide the parcel lift on booms for Amazon. Amazon were building after building after building, couldn't keep up with the demand for the telescopic booms, and ultimately looked to us to say, what can we do to help the operators inside of trailers and containers? So we took the parcel lift off, we put this onto a mobile base plate, and this is currently in the stand over in the far corner. This piece of equipment is currently on the stand, and this now gives logistics companies a piece of equipment that is completely mobile, as you can see by the video. Move it around with a pallet truck, move it around with a forklift, move it to wherever product is being picked up and lifted. So this is up to 45 kgs. The actual jib arm itself goes up and down. The concept behind this is you move the system as you empty the container. So you can load straight onto a flexible conveyor line and bring it out of the container, or you can ultimately drop straight onto a pallet. One-handed operation, designed for complete speed. As we all know in logistics, one of the first questions I get on an ROI is, are you going to increase my throughput? Those cases we can do. We have trial pieces of equipment. A lot of the stages for me are, I can't commit and say that we can, but what I can do is say we can look to reduce the amount of bodies inside of that container space, and we can create a healthier, safer environment for those people picking those products up. Now what I'll do from this product is, and I can't give too much away, we have developed another stage to this product. So we have now developed a product that will have the vacuum lifting arm on the front, as you can see here, but we've added concepts that we feel are lacking on products that are already in the industry, that we feel now will cover many, many areas that are used to get in previous roles with questions. So we're now looking at full modular, we're looking at mobile, we're looking at to conveyor, we're looking at to belt, we're looking at to pallet, we're looking at the options of being able to lift the operator up, lift the operator down, all those kind of points that we feel products on the market don't have currently. We are ready to launch for 2023, and that has been based on the last 3 or 4 years of trials where I have gone around the market, gathered data, gathered information, taken time trials. One time trial that I can commit to, given this particular product that we've just viewed, is on the mobile parcel lift, is we worked on a concept of the generic way of people unloading containers. If you don't have a boom or a flexible conveyor, most people will manually handball the product, they'll manually handball it onto the pallet, they'll then bring the pallet out of the container space, take a new pallet in. There's a lot of people, a lot of bodies. I'm generally told that's the quickest way of doing it. In my background and the tests that I've done, bringing the product out of the container environment, if we can, is definitely a quicker way, it's a safer way, it's a more efficient way, and we can help with our lifting products to help actually grip and grab those products. A trial I did earlier this year, which was mixed SKUs. It was a high-end customer, very expensive products that were inside these containers, split SKU of different colours. The first day we did the trial, there were 6 of us that unloaded the container, and it took us 3 hours, 37 minutes to tip this container. This was a 40-foot container of product being manually lifted, dropped onto the pallet, brought out, shrink wrapped, pallet wrapped, that process. The next day, we introduced our equipment and said, let's give it a go. Let's try doing it a different way to what you know, but let's see if we can increase the throughput without cracking the whip, and let's see if we can reduce the head count. So your productivity gains can go up not only on the unloading side of the container, but you can move bodies elsewhere that you're currently struggling with, which tends to be the picking areas with e-commerce volumes and products coming inbound. The trial we did with our equipment of vacuum on the front, coming out of the container, vacuum on the back, splitting SKUs onto pallets, as well as being taken away and wrapped, meant that we were able to reduce this from 6 to 3. We had 1 person now in the front of the container with the vacuum, we had 1 person at the back with vacuum, and the 3rd person, all they did was took away the full pallets, took it to the robo machine, that wrapped it. So we reduced from 6 people down to 3, and we unloaded the exact same container in 1 hour, 37 minutes. I can't say that categorically we can do that for every single container. There are cases where we have maintained the same throughput speed, but we have reduced the headcount. There are areas where we have maintained the exact same personnel, but we have done it in a much safer environment where people are not standing on steps, they're not standing on the customer product, there's no risk factor of people falling over, damaging product, which is another area that we look at with a return on investment model. So going through the areas that I've already covered, of course people ask me on an ROI case, the throughputs, the speeds, what is it you need to prove to me, when will I get my money back? The easiest thing I can say is that we are not robots. We still need the operator, therefore we are a lot cheaper than robots that are out on the market. If you want to talk robots, by all means, I can do. We work with Cobot robot lifting systems. We operate on the outside of container environments using this, taking off conveyors and dropping onto pallets. There's a time and a place for them. For me, the speed of an operator doing it is quicker, but of course, it all comes down to business cases and what you need to achieve and what you want to do. We have done a lot of work, mainly in our airport industry, where you can imagine the volumes of bags that are being picked up and having to get onto airlines. We have a number of cases where we can show that our fatigue levels are a lot better. We've used the high-vis vests. We've had operators that have used our equipment to the operators that have not, and it showed complete peaks and troughs. In the mornings, as you can imagine, I'm very, very quick at doing the process, but as the day goes on, and I'm, for example, unloading that container of 30 kilogram products, it's only natural to just slow down. So with our equipment, that's now, that doesn't come into play because they're not doing the lifting, our equipment is doing the lifting, all they are doing is the up and the downwards motion. So we've done this in the airport trade. Again, please come and speak to me if you need to know facts and figures on percentages, on the muscle mass and the movements. But there are definitely cases here that we can show through fatigue levels, the production levels have increased. So we're now offering ergonomic products with extendable reach, 360-degree rotation, and saving on manpower, which is always a difficult one to approach with companies who never really want to openly say that they're trying to reduce the headcount. But I think normally it tends to be the first focal point. Health and safety is the obvious focal point, and now the workforce flexibility side of being able to put anybody on an area that they didn't typically like, there is now no kind of headache, there's no discussion. There are also areas that we have worked on where customers have they've had no choice, but they have to work on a personnel rotation. So they'll have a handball team of 4 or 6 people that are set to unload that one container. They have 4 hours, and they know that the next container, they have to do a rotation. So the planning side of the operational teams have to plan in certain bodies to do one tip. They will then move to the pick areas, and another team will come in to do container number 2. Our products then ultimately get rid of that operational planning, because the people that are doing the tipping or the manual lifting are now no longer doing the manual lifting. So they can ultimately be left on that one job all day long because they're not doing any of the lifting. And what we try and say is that we want the staff to turn up and leave exactly the same way as when they arrived. That's one of our main aims. We try and say to companies, we don't want staff going home at 5 o'clock completely shattered. It's that work flex balance. The other area that we also look at is ultimately retaining the staff and keeping the staff. I've worked on cases where a company have invested our equipment and the site across the road have not, and the site who have not invested in the equipment, the staff have left to go across the road, because ultimately that company are looking to help their employees with a tool that we offer. So a little bit in terms of who we are, in terms of TAWI. We've been around since 1923. There were 3 companies in this field. There was TAWI, PIAB and Vaculex. PIAB acquired Vaculex and then ultimately acquired TAWI. So the competition, we all became one big happy family. We were able to lean on each other's products, and we now have a very big portfolio of products which we can ultimately offer throughout the whole process. Now, I'm just logistics. However, if you're pharmaceutical, if you're food, if you need stainless steel, absolutely not a problem. We can cover every single angle that we need to do. I would like to say that we can pick up pretty much anything. The only problem we struggle with is porous products. So if it's a washing machine, for example, in polystyrene, we then would move away from vacuum, and then we would look to a hoist type situation, being able to lift up without the vacuum. Ultimately, I hope I've gone through, and I hope I've managed to cover the main grounds of what it is that TAWI are trying to do in the logistics industry. Just repeating on the main 3 facts again: health and safety, productivity gains, and workforce flexibility. Those are the 3 areas that we look to help with every single company that I work with. And so far, I would like to say that we have done that. One elderly gentleman thanked us because he was going to have to take a retirement because he couldn't pick the products up anymore. He was really grateful. The company invested in our equipment, and it allowed him to prolong his working career because he wasn't doing any of the lifting anymore. I hope that's covered many points. I'd love to show you more examples, more case studies on everything that we've done through the logistics industry, from containers to outside containers, to big large tracks, to picking up doors, picking up kitchen furniture, boxes, bags, sacks. I think what I'd like to say is, if you do have thoughts and you have inquiries, grab me or visit us in the corner. You can pick boxes up, you can pick product up, you can see some of the systems that we have, and you can join the dots internally yourself to make sense of how our equipment works.